Good morning and welcome to the trade setup right here on Bloomberg Quint Live. I'm Neeraj Shah, and it promises to be a good day of trade yet again. I don't think too many bulls can complain about what's happening. Sure, individual portfolios may be doing this or that. I think the going has been strong thus far. And frankly, whether you invested in India or the US markets, you couldn't complain. In fact, if you were invested in the US markets, you would actually be much happier. Just look at the kind of moves that are happening in some of those stocks there. The FANG stocks are just on a roll. You look at the YTD performances of the tech stocks, and it just tells you a story, doesn't it? I mean, I'm guessing that I'm sure the white line is Amazon simply because of the kind of move that it is having. But Microsoft, Facebook, Netflix, even small stocks like Twilio are actually seeing their stock prices really zoom in trade. Now, Amazon is a separate case in point altogether. Look at that stock price, 3,057 for that one. And there is this chart on a Bloomberg story. It's there on our website, bloombergquint.com as well. It shows how the stock prices of some of these stocks are defying gravity and defying the best of analysts' estimates as well. I mean, Amazon, I think the average target price must be about 2,700, 2,800 there on your screen. That shows you, isn't it? This is the average target price, which you can, the blue line, which you can see is anyways moving higher. But just look at the white line, which is the stock price of Amazon and the kind of move that it is having. It's just quite unreal what's happening in the tech stocks in particular. And as a result of which, NASDAQ has just had a phenomenal run. Now, you could argue it's running ahead of estimates, and when it falls down, what will happen? But the choice of getting out is yours, isn't it? The point being, NASDAQ has had a fabulous run. And why do I say all of this? Is because now that option is available for each one of us to invest into these stocks directly or into the NASDAQ ETF. There is a Motilal Oswal product. There must be some other products as well, which give you exposure to some of these indices. But the NASDAQ one, I know, there's an option available to do that. And therefore, uh, if you weren't in that business, and let's assume you think that the stocks have run up too much ahead of themselves, then maybe on a pullback, you have to consider the option of investing into some of these companies as well, because truly they are the global leaders right now. What a phenomenal move. But it's a phenomenal move across the US indices. It's not just the tech-heavy Nasdaq. Dow, S&P did well, and Asia, I think, is rubbing off. Is getting the rub off as a result of the kind of a move and the kind of handover that we had. So it's not a bad start, you would have to say. Yes, you could argue that some of the indices are tempered, the likes of Topics or Nikkei, etc. But some of the others are doing well too, and that is therefore the story of the day. That mixed bag, but largely not a bad handover. The SGX Nifty will come up on your screen as well, because that will give you an indication of what the R markets could do. Remember, the momentum is strong. So even if the SGX Nifty is starting tepid, mildly lower or mildly higher, you could well expect, or you shouldn't be surprised if the move on the day could well be higher. Now, I'm not suggesting that we will move higher. We could well have a day of consolidation, 2 days of consolidation. We could well have a pullback. All I'm saying is right now the trend is on the upside, and therefore you should continue to monitor that maybe the chances are that long positions would be better. For now, as the chart shows, there's a bit of a brief pullback. Let's wait and watch what happens during the course of the day. But the global rally will continue to aid the sentiment on the last street, to my mind. I think the trade setup is all about what's happening around the world and whether India can benefit out of that or no. Updates from HDFC Bank yesterday, as well as Bajaj Finance. HDFC Bank day before yesterday and Bajaj Finance yesterday, post market hours, I think will aid sentiment in financials for sure. And on the broader end of the spectrum, mid-cap fertilizer names, specialty chemical and chemical names, and defense stocks will continue to remain in focus. We are at the cusp of the earnings season, and if Goldman Sachs commentary and Infosys, they've added Infosys to their focus list, etc., and all of that is an indication. Well, tech should have a good start, and if that has a good start, it just spurs the sentiment. So the sentiment right now is pretty positive. What are the stocks, therefore, that you should keep an eye out for? Now, I don't have a stock of the day necessarily, but I do think that one should keep an eye out on the Reliance partly paid up share. Why do I say the Reliance partly paid up share and not Reliance? Simply because the beta or the relative gain that you make in the investment in Reliance partly paid is probably much higher. And if you indeed believe that the platform business appetite would lead to continued momentum for Reliance Industries, which I think it could well happen. Yes, you could argue the valuations are high, etc. But Reliance is 14% of the Nifty. There are so many stocks which will not be positioned, so many mutual funds, so many India dedicated funds which will not be positioned for that much on Reliance, and could a FOMO lead to Reliance doing well, and therefore Reliance, the partly paid up share, be on your focus list? I think it should be. Do your own checks, but keep this on in your mind. You have to monitor what's happening to Reliance Industries and therefore what could happen to the Reliance partly paid up share. But Bajaj Finance, the big one in the session today, some updates that they gave out. The EUM under moratorium has reduced the consolidated liquidity surplus 17,600 crores, capital adequacy ratio at 26.4%. I think a clear positive was the reduction in the moratorium number, which is almost halved. It remains well capitalized, as I said, with the capital adequacy of 26.4%. Liquidity surplus as of Q1 was about 17,600 crores. It looks very strong to sustain for the next 6 months. Deposit book growing 33%. All positive, both for Bajaj Finance as well as for HDFC Bank, just showing that the high quality financials are actually, uh, as Menka told me, developing a bit of an immune system to the current developments in the Indian financial landscape. Do watch out for Bajaj Finance. Had a rocking day yesterday, but could be an interesting one today. Similarly for Bandhan Bank, I was positively surprised with what Bandhan Bank declared in the Q1 update. Loans and advances were up about 18% at 74,000 crores. The total deposits for Bandhan Bank up 35%. The CASA ratio at 37%. It's been a strong Q1. That shows that people flocked towards, or their customers and more customers flocked towards Bandhan. Beauty is, though, if you dig deeper, one, that the collection efficiency recovered to about 68%. But key thing for Bandhan Bank, the share of the moratorium availed, it was 100% earlier in the MFI portfolio. Viewers, you would remember, it's reduced to 30% as of 3rd July. That's quite something. A lot of people were worried about what will happen to the MFIs, but then bank, an MFI turned bank. A lot of people were worried. I think this puts paid any kind of worries that were there. For rich consumer, just quick update out there too. Absolute sales were marginally lower. Mid-single digit volume-driven sales growth. I think that's a bit of a disappointment compared to the peers, I would reckon. But there is strong momentum in the hygiene category, is what they've said, even though there's a muted demand in hair color and air freshener. The commentary is encouraging a little bit. This could be on account of the pent-up demand on the wholesale level as well. Some of the key products are not doing well, but channel checks of a lot of brokerages indicate that there is a demand scenario, demand on ground in the home improvement and the home hygiene category. And maybe all of that would actually help Godrej consumer. Let's see. Compared to peers, maybe a bit tepid. Let's wait and watch. Lastly, we're on a capital raising spree, and both Punjab National Bank and Canara Bank are going to raise capital this week, and therefore these two could be interesting. Remember, there is rights issue of PVR that has been announced. Shriram Transport also announced. So India seems to be on a capital raising spree. Should you be worried? Or should you be happy? Time will tell. For now, though, focus on the day's trade. And even if we start off lower, remember that the trend is not negative as yet. So keep that at the back of your mind when you're making your day trades. Thanks so much for tuning into the Trade Setup.